Hello, symbol lovers, and welcome to another edition of Understanding the Symbols of Hieronymus Bosch. This is the special Mother's Day edition. This painting is known as the Tree of Fertility. It was painted around 1265. It is a mural, and it is famous for featuring that large tree filled with penises. This is a composite symbol, meaning it's all integrated. Everything helps define everything else. And so let's just break it down into its component parts. For one thing, we have that giant tree, a tree so big it covers over everyone in this community. And the leaves on the tree are brown. We have those large birds. They're not happy songbirds, they're dark birds. They're dark birds over everyone's head, and they don't look pleasant. Underneath the birds, underneath the tree, we have what we can identify as women, and maybe some of those other figures that are chiseled out are of children, or there might be men in that group. But we know they are women, and this is apparently harvest time. They've got their little harvest basket, but everyone's got their heads down. And there is that one woman, she's got that long stick in her hand. That's probably a fruit picking stick. It's got a little hook at the end so she can reach up and hook one of those penises before it drops off and before the birds can get to it. And so that's sort of more or less our components and our clue. We'll begin with the tree. What is a tree? Well, a tree is a symbol for life. It produces life, and here it's producing something, and it's large enough to cover the people. This is a family tree or a tribal tree or a regional national tree. This is a tree covering the people, and it's the only tree. So now we have the black birds. What do black birds do? Very ominous. You have black birds where there's a corpse in front of the gates of the city. You have blackbirds gathering around battlefields. And so we have flesh, raw flesh in the trees, and black birds gathering under the trees. And now we have all those people, and they don't seem to be joyful and dancing, and they also don't seem to be working terribly hard. They really seem to be grieving. And so we can conclude that the penises up in the tree represent the young men, the generation of men. And what's happening to them is they are falling like leaves in the trees. Notice the leaves are brown. This isn't a green tree. This is fall. And those penises are not going to grow up to become men, but they are going to be devoured on a battlefield. And these are the wives, mothers, orphans, and the rest of the community that's left behind. And up there is another generation that will be lost, probably to war with either Prussia, Austria, Poland, or even the Holy Roman Empire, because that's what that bird resembles, is an emblem for the Holy Roman Empire or one of those other lesser empires. It could be some local guy for all we know. It happened in 1265. I don't know. And this could be a memorial to something that happened hundreds of years before that. But I think it was probably something pretty recent. So the mural has nothing to do with sex, but it probably has everything to do with some monk somewhere who tapped into the grief of a community and creatively came up with an excuse to draw a bunch of penises right in everyone's face, right in the chapel. This is a drollery, and you would be excused for thinking it had something to do with sex. Well, it has a little something to do with sex. The man is going off on a pilgrimage. He's pledging his chastity to his wife. She is dressed as if she's going on a pilgrimage, but she is going to stay home and be modest and wait. When he returns, they will reconsummate their marriage. There's even a scripture for all this, just as there's a scripture for this one. Get it? He's bending over backwards to please his wife. If a woman has an unbelieving husband and he is willing to live with her, she must not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified through his believing wife. And so how would you express that as a symbol? Well, this is one way to do it. We see the woman sanctifying her husband by not divorcing him. So this is a good Christian woman and a terrible unbelieving husband. These nuns seem to be stocking up on penises, but really, I'm sure the story behind it is these nuns, through their preaching and good works, are convincing a generation of young men to join them in celibacy. So they're plucking them in their youth before they're ripe and fallen off the tree. They're harvesting them for the church. So they're putting them away. The same idea that we have in the tree of fertility. What these examples tell us is that you can work sex into anything as long as you have a noble idea to hang it on. On the other hand, with Hieronymus Bosch, sex is hinted at, but what you see is mostly fruit. And make no mistake, the Garden of Earthly Delights is all about sex. So the symbolic rule is simple. When you see penises, don't think about sex. But when you don't see penises and see fruit, then it's perfectly all right to think about sex. That's just the nature of symbolisms. Nothing is as it seems. Everything stands for something else. Anyway, as far as I know, I'm the only one who interprets the tree of fertility this way. But I'm pretty sure I got it right. Anyway, that's everything I know about penises. If you know a little more than that, then you know more about penises than I do. And that's just another thing you learn once you understand the symbols of Hieronymus Bosch. Thanks for watching.